Shalom, shalom, Israel. First, I want to give all honor, all glory to the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach Umarak Yahushua. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world early calls God, and Yahushua is the name of His only begotten Son, who the world only calls Jesus Christ. Now, I want to give a strong shalom to all the mighty men that's going out there laboring, putting their lives on the line for the Most High, and presenting their bodies a living sacrifice, enduring the elements, the 100-degree weathers, and the freezing below codes, doing all they can and stand firmly against everything that's trying to hinder the work of the Lord. I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty Akwath, the sisters that's married and unmarried, doing all they can to be tender, delicate, and on fire for the Lord. And I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty children and teenagers in this thing as well, doing all they can to make their calling and election short, right? And by the topic of this video is called either level up spiritually or spiritually increase or get left behind, man. It's that simple. Either spiritually increase or get left behind. And this is the topic of this video because this is important. You have to increase spiritually. You got to be more and approach more into that spiritual new man and that spiritual new woman. And they tell you that in football. If you're not in the weight room at football practice, getting stronger to get on the field, hey, the coach is going to cut you, man. If you're not running faster or getting faster for track, guess what? The coach, he's going to cut you, and he's going to have another woman or man take your spot. These things happen every day. You have to be spiritually increasing or growing, I should say, getting stronger in these last days. Let's go to the book of Esther, chapter 9. Like I said, Jake is in a weight room, every day. In basketball, Jake is in a weight room. He's lifting weights. He's trying to get stronger. He's doing reps. Why is brothers and sisters not doing reps for the Heavenly Father? Getting repetitions in. More reading. Not only reading, but more charity. What about more alms? Are you increasing or are you just stagnant? A lot of brothers and sisters are stagnant in the truth. You first come in, you get the sincere milk. Now you kind of wax mighty, you grow. Then after that, you feel like you have reached or attained a certain amount of knowledge and stuff like that. Guess what? Now you just stagnant. You're not growing anymore. You're not constantly leveling up. Like I said, in the world, and you got to level up in this world, this so-called world. In basketball, you have to get faster. You got to get your so-called stamina up. If you're not meeting the requirements of what the basketball coach says, guess what? You're getting cut. And this is happening to men and women in these last days. So you got to spiritually get in the gym, man. Hey, it's grind time. I don't know about brothers and sisters, but as for me, hey, it's grind time. There's no days off. Lord willing, until we pass underneath the bond of the covenant. Other than that, it's more work to put in. Let me get this in Esther, chapter 9. Let's go to the book of Esther. Chapter 9. Right. Esther chapter 9. And I want verse number 4. Esther chapter 9 and verse number 4. It reads, "For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater." So Mordecai that you read about in Esther, he was literally waxing greater and greater. You got to ask yourself in the truth, are you increasing? Now, let's just put knowledge to the side, because it's really not about knowledge. Are you increasing in your charity? Are you increasing after a man of the Lord, a man of the Most High, a God-fearing woman? You got to ask yourself that. Or are you still doing the same stuff you used to do a year ago in the truth? Certain brothers and sisters is like that. They first came into the truth. Guess what? Now they was reading, 3 chapters it was okay back then. A year later, you still reading those same 3 chapters. Or you first came into the truth, you was probably fasting once a month. Or a year ago. Twice in a month. And it's still the same old habits and old patterns. And you got something in the world called a New Year's resolution. I'm pretty sure brothers and sisters heard of that. But basically, that's what these people in the world, they find out stuff that they're gonna do better into the next year. Now they do that in the world. How much more for the truth? How much more to serve the Heavenly Father? Serve the Most High. Hey, you gotta level up, man, or get left behind. I'm gonna read that again. It's Esther chapter 9 and verse number 4. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. And you don't just wax greater and greater overnight. You wax greater through the Spirit by being in the spiritual gym. What is the spiritual gym? It's not an actual gym membership at so-called Planet Fitness. This is the spiritual gym right here, right? The precepts, the knowledge, the different history, the books, the archaeology. You have to increase, man, or you will be stagnant. You have to grow. Let's go to the book of Luke. I'm going to get that later. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. So growth is very vital, man. And the real men and women of the Lord, they going to put in that work through the Spirit. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2. Right? It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, and verse number 9. It says, so I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Now, this is King Solomon. Solomon said I was great. And not only that, I increased more than everybody that was before me at Jerusalem. The question is, are you increasing? Hey, for you to be able to increase, you got to have goals. You got some women, they don't have goals. They've been in the truth 3 years, they still don't have goals. But yet they say, I'm trying to be like Sarah and Rebecca. Sister, you don't even have goals. You got brothers saying, I want to be a teacher. I want to be this. I want to be that. Well, brother, you don't even have goals. You have to have goals in the truth. And that's how you spiritually increase. You should have goals, man. Things you want to work on better. Things you can improve. Like I said, people do this in the world, man. If you're a basketball player, you're going to sit down and analyze yourself. Only if you want to become a better basketball player. How many men and women want to actually become a better person? Renewed after the image of Yahweh Shah. How many people want to actually do that? It's going to show through your action. These men, when they're on a basketball court, they're analyzing themselves. Okay, I always go, let me work on my left hand. My left hand's not strong enough. Next thing you know, they start working on their left hand. After a while, their left hand get better. Now they could go left and right. And it's truth, man. You gotta strengthen the things that are weak. If you feel like you could pray more because you're so caught up at your job, you have to do that. Or else them spirits gonna start working on your mind. And that's what really, on a deeper level, every brother and sister, brothers talk about it a lot. Brothers and sisters falling out the truth. It really happens because they're not increasing. And them demons, they increase. Everything increases. These spirits increase. Wickedness increase. Hey, the moon actually increases, man. It grows dark, then it increases into the light of perfection. Everything increases, but yet man don't want to increase. Man don't want to get stronger. Hey, Jake want to get stronger for football. That's what he want to do. He bench pressing. Hey, put like 2 more 25s on there. Jake want to do that, but when it comes to the truth, you don't want to spiritually increase. You don't want to put on that charity, them alms. Who's actually striving to be a good brethren like Jonathan in 1 Samuel? Who's actually trying to strive to be like Yahushua, like Paul? Hey, it's a lot of work to be done, man. I'm gonna read that again. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and verse number 9. It's King Solomon. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with thee. So you had Mordecai increasing, King Solomon. Let me get another precept. Like I said, everything is increasing. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 5. All right, let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 5. You have to get stronger. This 2nd Esdras, chapter 5, and verse number 2. Right, 2nd Esdras, chapter 5 and 2. It says, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. So like I said, everything is increasing. Wickedness is increasing. And Sirach, the 42nd chapter, I believe, verse 6 on down, the moon increases. How much more for man? Filthy and abominable is man. For you women, you should strive to have goals and get spiritually stronger. That's the men that's going to stand out. You're going to see the growth on him. You're going to see your experience increase. Now you handling certain situations differently. These are things we have to do in the last days. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 2. Right, and it get deep. There's so many aspects. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 2. Right, let's go to Luke, the 2nd chapter. It's the book of Luke, chapter 2, and verse number 52. Right, so lock in. It's the book of Luke, chapter 2, and verse number 52. And Yahushua increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. Now this is the Lord and our Savior. He literally increased not only in wisdom and in stature, but with the Most High. You got to ask yourself, is your connection with the Heavenly Father increasing? Are you building up your faith in the Lord, your confidence, your trust? I said a lot of brothers and sisters, they still doing the same thing they did a year ago in the truth. You have studying. When you first came, I used to be up all night. Used to go to sleep watching the videos. Or you might used to have a video a day. Okay, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to do that the next day. Used to have a routine. Now you kind of slacking. The same routine that you had last year in the truth, it's still nothing has changed. If anything, it has gotten worse. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what happens to men and women on a day-to-day basis. These things happen every day. You either going to push yourself to the next level and level up spiritually, or you only going to wax weaker and weaker. It's only a matter of time. There's no in between. Because you might be stagnant for a minute. Once you stagnant, the only thing is to increase or go down. Which one is it going to be? A lot of brothers just let it happen, man. Next thing you know, that now they're being talked about. And I hear this all the time. A brother say, man, that brother used to be mighty. Like literally on fire. What happened to him? Then brothers say, you know what? That brother, he no longer with the camp. These things happen on a day-to-day basis. Let's go to 2 Samuel, chapter 3. All right, let's go to 2 Samuel, chapter 3. Right, 2 Samuel, chapter 3, and verse number 1. The 2 Samuel, chapter 3, and verse 1. Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. And David, it's like it says, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And that's certain men and women in this truth. Certain other men, and this is just balance with the Most High, while men and women is waxing weaker and weaker. Somebody else in this truth, they may be across the world, they're getting stronger and stronger. They're saying, you know what? Last month, I only prayed 6 times a day. Let me boost that up to 9 times. I was only fasting 1 time a week last month. Let me add on 2 times. Because if you don't, it's only a matter of time before those evil spirits creep in and they overtake you. No man has spirit power of the spirit to retain the spirit. And this is real grind mode. You know, brothers that know me, you know, in my congregation, in my camp out here in Chicago, and they know one thing I always say is grind time. It's so much work to be put in. There's so many aspects to grow. And like I said, the real true men and women of the Lord, they gonna put in that work to grow into that new man and that new woman that's renewed after the image of Yahweh Shai. Let's go to the book of Romans chapter 8. It's the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse number 29. Go to the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse number 29. It's the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse number 29. It reads, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. And the real question is, who really want to be renewed after the image of Yahweh Shai? A lot of brothers, they come into the truth, and and that applies to the world. They still do some of the things that they do in the world. Like literally, brothers coming to the truth. Now you know, brothers are swearing the world. They in the truth swearing. You kind of salute a brother. He's saying, "Khan on my OG, on my pops." When are you gonna grow up, man? The truth it requires growth. You have to grow up. You can't do some of the things you used to do. Things you have to put away. It might not necessarily be a sin. You might not like it, but some things you got to put to the side. That's going to hinder your growth. And ultimately, you're going to go downward. Next thing you know, you out the truth and you dealing with a homosexual. And the brothers don't really believe that till it actually happen. But we have heard stories of these things happening. If we was to do some of this stuff and hold on to some of this stuff that we was doing last year, man, brothers and sisters would be off still in the truth. Because last year, you might have just been smoking weed last year. Committing of all type of harlotry. You still talking to men in the world for you women. So if we was to keep doing some of the things we was doing years, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, all hell would break loose. How much more the Lord put you in his truth. The Lord gave you the keys of salvation. Everybody can't understand salvation. They can't understand you got to keep the commandments. You have to repent. You have it right now. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to flip those talents, or are you going to be snagged? Right? Let's go to the book of John. All right. Let's actually go to the book of Acts, chapter 9. It's the book of Acts, chapter 9. And verse number 22. I'm going to start at verse, man, this Acts the 9th chapter is mean. I'm going to start at verse 19. Now this is going into Saul, who is actually talking about Paul. Paul just received the words of salvation. He just received that he's going to be a light to the Gentiles. This is Acts 9 and 19. It says, and when they had received meat, he was strengthened. Then Saul, certain days with the disciples, were at Damascus. And straightway he preached Christ in the synagogues, that he is the Son of God. But all that heard him were amazed, and said, it is not he. that destroyed them, which called on this name in Jerusalem. So they was getting on Paul. They said, hold on. This is the same man that was persecuting the church. Right? Reading on. It reads, and hither for that intent that he might bring them bound into the chief priest. But Saul increased the more in strength and confounded the Jews which dwelt at Damascus, proving that this is very Christ. Now, if Paul or Saul, which is Paul, if he would have never increased, he wouldn't be the Paul that we know about that was so on fire. He wouldn't be the Paul that we know about in Acts and Romans to the church of Corinth, right to the church of Corinth. If he didn't what? Increase. And from Fringes UK, the brother put a good point. It says, I cut off social media, TV shows I used to watch, and music, pray and fast away out of the dark spot. Identify what is pulling you down, sis. And that's one of the points we're going to touch on. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. Certain things you got to cut off. It's the only way you're going to grow. A lot of brothers, they try to hold that stuff on. Brother, you can't hold on to everything. Some things you have to let go. It's for your own benefit. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. This 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse number 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 11. And that's what's going to happen. Certain things, it might not necessarily be a sin. It might not be a law on you can't play video games. You're not going to find that in the first 5 books. But guess what? It might hinder you. It might not be a law saying you can't watch TV. But guess what? That might hinder you. Or watch your favorite Netflix show. Certain of these things, it's not sins. It's not written in the law. But it could stop you from increasing. Next thing you know, while you're watching that Netflix, somebody else in another state, they're watching a video. They're taking down notes. They're increasing. And then you wonder why you can't remember the precepts. Oh man, what's that precept? I forgot it. Didn't the Lord say we gotta love our brother? You all over the place. You wonder why, brother. Look what you're doing. If you ask some of these, man, if you could talk to some of these basketball players, you know, these good basketball players, these coaches. I had a basketball coach in the world. Some of these same aspects of these sports and the things that happen in the world, they apply to the truth. Ask a basketball player, ask Stephen Curry, how are you so good? 9 times out of 10, he's gonna tell you, because you know I practice a lot. Guess what you have to do? You have to practice, man. It takes work. Things don't happen overnight. I said, hey, Stephen Curry, hey, these basketball players, they surround themselves with basketball. They got Kevin Durant on the wall. On this wall, they got LeBron James, Stephen Curry. All they watching is basketball film. Literally, that's all they watch. How I know? Because I used to be a basketball player. All I used to watch was basketball highlights. They practicing in the mirror. They dribbling. They working on their shot. These are things that, you know, men do in the world. And then certain people, they wonder, wow, how did you get so good? Because they literally surrounded themselves with what they wanted to be. That got to be you in the truth. Certain brothers I know, they actually have prayers on their walls. Literally. They got the Hebrew on their wall. They got the poster of Yahweh Shah, of the chair, the Hebrew alphabet on their wall. Soon as they wake up, guess what? They looking at the Hebrew alphabet. They laying on the side. Instead of their phone being right next to them where they lay down, guess what? They got their Bible next to them. So as soon as they wake up, they flipping through it. They got their precept notebook. These the things that, hey, these things happen, man. I'm going to bring this out, though. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 11. It says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. And that's on the physical level. When you a child, you know, you think as a child, you want to go to Disney World. And you got some brothers, they in the truth, they still want to go to Disney World. Brother, you got to put that stuff away. You got brothers in the truth saying, I want to go to Disney World. Man, if I hear that, that's, brother, your mind is not right. Certain brothers and sisters, they still think as a child. They think they can still do some of the things they used to do in the world. But this is what the Lord said. It says, but when I became a man, how do you become a man? By keeping the commandments, loving your brother, being on fire, serving the Lord. I put away childish things. So certain brothers and sisters, even me, I had to put away certain things, man. Prior to me coming into the truth, I had a heavy video game spirit. That's all I used to play was video games. You had Fortnite, probably used to play 2K, etc. But when I came into the truth, I found that it was a stumbling block because it was stopping me from growing. What did I have to do? I had to cut the video games up. Now, like I said, it might not be a sin. It's not going to be in the first 5 books you can't play video games. But guess what? For me, in order to increase, and when I on my goals to where on the level I want to be, the games have to go. Some things in the truth might have to go. The TV, the sports. What else Jake like to do? Damn, the going out. Some of the things you gotta just cut out. Why? Because it's gonna hinder your growth. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 2. All right, let's go to the book of Hebrews chapter 2 and verse number 1. Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 1. And for you to be able to increase, it's gonna take discipline. It's not gonna just happen overnight like that. No, it might be hard. It's gonna take discipline, man. It takes a strong spirit to be able to do that as well. But like I said, the real true men and women of the Lord, they're gonna do whatever it takes to strive for the masteries. It's the book of Hebrews chapter 2 and verse number 1. Hebrews chapter 2 and verse number 1. It says, therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard. So you got to give earnest heed to the things you have heard, the things you have seen. It says what? Lest at any time we shall let them slip. And that's what happens. When your mind is not focused on His truth, the words of the Lord, the prophecies, certain things, they slip you. That's like me going to work. I just woke up from reading, got a good reading session in. I'm in the spirit. Then I go to work and I'm talking about the damn NBA, the NBA finals. Or I'm talking about the new Netflix series to Jake at my job. Hey, don't be surprised when them precepts slip you. If you trying to link it up, then you forgetting it. Why? Because those things that slip you. You involve yourself in things that don't matter. What really matters is the words of the Lord. So it's a lot of stumbling blocks. And every man and woman is different. And your stumbling block might be anger. You kind of driving and somebody kind of cut you off, and you kind of say some words. That might be your stumbling block. You got to let it go. Drinking might be somebody's stumbling block. Cursing, filthy communication. Every man and woman is different. I said video games might be somebody's stumbling block. Right? So the brother said, I was a fan of UFC. It's not a spirit I wanted to carry over. See that? Brother was a fan of UFC. He probably used to, be watching the UFC games, putting money. He said he had to let that go. And the more you let go, the more you're gonna find yourself increasing. It's women you might have to let go, man. They might look good. They might be submissive. But you gotta let it go. Why? For that one true woman. That's wisdom. Some things you gotta let go, man. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 3. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 3. It's the book of John, chapter 3, and verse number 29. It says, he that hath a bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom, which standeth and heareth him, rejoiceth greatly, because of the bridegroom's voice. This is my joy, therefore is fulfilled. Right, going into John the Baptist, verse 30. This is what John the Baptist said out of his own mouth. John chapter 3 and 30. He must increase, but I must decrease. Who is he talking about? John was talking about himself. Certain brothers and sisters, they have to decrease. That's the will of the Most High. Not that John was wicked or he was off. It's just everybody has their time and they have to fulfill their lot. John, he was set up at one point in time to literally restore the children back to the Father. Like I said in Malachi, the 4th chapter. That was his time. Now it was his time to decrease. And guess who increased? Mashiach Umarak Yahushua. It was his time. Everybody has a time and a place. And on a deeper level, that's why you got to be humble, man. At any time, the Lord can decrease you when he wants you, when he wants to. Next thing you know, you have another man rise up and increasing. And on another fold, you can't be willing to increase very at this moment. I said it takes time. Over time, approaching Jacob's trouble. Maybe the second wilderness if we make it, Lord willing. Those are the times you want to truly, really increase. It starts now, though. Going up to that time, you want to increase. A lot of brothers and sisters, they want it now. I want it now, Spirit. I want to be the man on top right now, Spirit. Well, all right, brother, be careful what you wish for. Lord, I have it, so you're the man right now. But next thing you know, I was just talking to a brother about that. Lord, I have it, so were you the man right now? Next thing you know, in the second wilderness, you are a rebel. So that is showing you humility as well. And these Kobe Bryants, when you watch Kobe Bryant, his work ethic, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, they said it took a lot of humility. You can't be trying to grow and you just prideful. Yeah, I read 10 chapters today. How much you read? You only fast one time a month? You got to get on my level. No, you got to be humble about it. Then the Lord is going to increase you at your latter end. Let's go to the book of John, the 15th chapter. It's like I want to get this in 1 Corinthians, right? So not only we gonna also give you ways to increase. We gave one way. Certain things you have to cut off. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15. 1 Corinthians, chapter 15, and verse number 58. It says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable. And this is another way you can increase. Like I said, these top football players, they're surrounded by football. These top baseball players, they're surrounded by baseball. These basketball, they surround themselves around the world of basketball. If you want to increase in the shoot, you have to surround yourself with the oracles of the Most High, the words of the Heavenly Father, the knowledge. I said certain brothers, they got the Hebrew alphabet on a room wall. So as soon as they wake up, they saying their ABCs in the Hebrew, man. They're going through the ah to the tha. Certain brothers, they got prayers on their walls. Brothers, they all they got playing all day is the videos. You gotta surround yourself, and most importantly, abound in the work of the Lord. Let's go to it's like I'm reading on 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Now, it don't just say sometimes abound in the work of the Lord. As a track player, are they always abounding in track? Or a baseball player? They gonna say yes. And you had some like 2 years ago, Jake was saying ball is life. That's all I do is ball. Hey, this truth gotta be your life, man. Truth is life. These words gotta make sure you always abound it. Cause the moment you're not abounding, that's the moment where certain things is gonna slip you. You're gonna decrease. Next thing you know, a sister hit you up for counsel because her marriage is going on and you don't even know what to say. You don't know what precepts to go to. She kind of say, hey, sister, my husband, he's dealing with the prick demon. I don't know what to do. And she's calling you for help and you don't even know what to do. Why? Because you're too busy not abounding in the work. I'm going to read that again. It says, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17. So you have to abound. The moment you're not abounding, that's the moment where your mind could get distracted. This is Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse number 7. It says, blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters. Now, a tree, you gotta imagine this. Imagine a tree that's just planted and surrounded by living waters. It's gonna always be prospering, growing. But you put that tree and you put it on a dry land, a desert. It's not gonna yield forth its fruit. It's not gonna grow. What is the waters? This knowledge, the commandments, the oracles of the Most High. You have to always be abounding, renewing. It says, for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when he cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in a year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. And you got to ask yourself, are you constantly yielding for fruit? Good works. And like I said, it's not just the breakdowns or the precepts. It's you and your spirit. Is your spirit increasing? Are you increasing in sisterly love, brotherly love, charity, helping out your occupant, being there for them, putting away the cursing, the strife, the things that you deal with? You know you better than I do. Like I said, everybody has something different that they deal with. Are you working on those things? If you got a drinking problem, brother, are you working on that? Or are you just brushing it off? If you got a TV watching spirit, or you got certain brothers, man, they on social media 24/7. Literally. Every time I log in, and I barely log in like that. But when I used to log, I used to see, man, ancestors too. They got that Facebook spirit. Sister, how are you increasing? You on Facebook all day? Instagram, YouTube. How do you have time to read? So certain things you got to cut off, man. It's the only way you're going to increase in stature. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9. Right? Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9. It's the book of Ecclesiastes. It's like y'all don't want that real fast. Let me hold that. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 15. It's the book of John, chapter 15. And I want verse number 1. John 15 and verse 1. It says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. So Yahweh Shai, he's the vine, and the Most High, he's the husbandman. Verse 2, every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And that's plain upon tables. Certain men and women, they're getting taken away in the last days. Rapidly. It says, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring more fruit. So if you bearing fruit, the Lord is going to come down and look upon your works. And he's going to say, you know what? He's doing what I commanded him to do. He's increasing. Let me give him more fruit. Let me prosper him more. But you got to ask yourself, do you have a fruit on the tree? Where is your works at? Reading on. It reads, now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me. So another way to grow, you have to abide in Yahweh Shah. In Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. And I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except ye abide in me. And the only way you can increase through the Spirit is through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. You can't do it without him. It's like Jake can't get stronger in a weight room if he didn't have the weights. If he didn't have the 50-pound weights, the 2 plates, some 10s on there, how is he going to get stronger? Hey, you get stronger in this truth through Yahweh Shah, through the words of life, to be able to connect to the Father. That's your so-called, that's your spiritual weights. And if you're not getting them spiritual reps in, you're only going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. So now this is grind time. That's exactly what it is. It's grind time. Ain't no days off, man. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Chapter 9. Salaki. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse number 10. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. So the Lord said, whatever you're doing, you should chiefly be doing it with your might. Hey, for brothers that have no, for brothers that know what I'm talking about, hey, when you do push-ups, you start to, after a while, you start to feel that burn. Brothers know what I'm talking about. If you ever did push-ups, you know what I'm talking about. So when you doing them push-ups, you start to feel that burn. Now, when you feel that burn, some in the back of your head is saying, okay, that's enough. My hand, my arms kind of burning. I just did like 25, 30 push-ups. Let me stop. But certain men that want to get stronger, guess what? Although it burns, they keep on pushing. They fight through that burn. They damn sweating. They wiping off the sweat off their face. They keep going. Who's gonna be that man and that woman that just keeps going, man? Although it might burn. Someone in the back of your head is telling you not to pray. You just prayed, you prayed 5 times today. Just take a break. Who's going to go, who's going to say, you know what? So what? I'm going to pray anyway. Those are going to be the men and the women that increase, man. Hey, man, I kind of told myself, I don't really count my prayers till I don't feel like praying. That's when I really start counting. That's when I really start saying, okay, now the work being put in. Yeah, like the brother said, you never want to do the last 2 push-ups. Yeah, you kind of feel that burn. You just saying, man, forget it. But certain men, they do that last 2. They say, you know what, although it burn, I want to get stronger. That's the mentality that you got to have in this truth. Although I don't want to feel like praying, I just had a long day at work, I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, I don't feel like studying, but I'm going to study anyway. I might not feel like hitting up that brother or that sister. Hey, I'm going to do it anyway. You got to have that I'm going to do it anyway spirit. That's why the Lord said, Ecclesiastes 9 and 10, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. And these scriptures, man, it get deep. Why? Because you get to examine yourself fully. You got to ask yourself. You literally got to ask yourself, whatever you doing, is you doing it with your might? Certain brothers, when they pray, They just, how about something? They whisper. Hey, you gotta scream, man. You gotta cry. Certain men, when they study, they going to sleep. Songs of Solomon one. No, you gotta do it with your might. That's like in your so-called when you on a basketball team, you can't just have dribble or you just have shoot and you airball. No, when you out there on the court and you trying to get a bucket, you have to be like this and it's truth, man. Whatever you doing, do it with your might. Don't have a do stuff. That's what it's saying. Everything you do, you shouldn't have a do it. Just like Jake, his mom tell him to go wash the dishes. He kind of don't want to do it. So, he kind of go in the kitchen and start have a washing the dishes. Next thing you know, it's still food on the dishes. And your mom saying, you always have a doing stuff. That's a lot of you women admitting the truth. You have a do stuff. And you can't do that with the Most High. Reading on. It reads, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave where thou goest. Meaning what? When it's all said and done, and it's time to you return into the dust from where you are taken, you're not going to have time to do everything with your might. Because once you're in the grave, that's it. Let's go to Psalms, the 6th chapter real fast. The grave can't praise the Most High. When you in the grave, you can't say the water Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You can't give alms in the grave. You can't call up and check on your sister or your brother in the grave. The Lord is commanding you to do it right now. Right, this Psalm chapter 6 and verse 5. It says, for in death there is no remembrance of thee. In the grave, who shall give thee thanks? And that's rhetorical. Why? Because nobody's able to give thanks to the Most High in the grave. So he's commanding you to do it now. Hey, it's better late than never, man. Because it's not going to be no water, shoulda, coulda, and Jacob's trouble. Whatever you have, the works, whatever work you put in, that's it. The Lord is going to tally up all the scores. And whatever you have on the scoreboard, hey, that's it. That's all. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 10. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, and verse number 4. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, and verse number 4. It says, he becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand. So somebody that's dealing with like I said, a have a job or a slack hand, it's only a matter of time before they become poor. It says, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. Are you being diligent in your work? And you got to be, one of the steps to growing as well, you have to be honest with yourself. I said, some of these men in the world, they'll tell you, I kind of be honest with myself. You don't want to sugarcoat yourself when you examine yourself. You're not playing the Most High. You're not playing your Akim or the sisters around you. When you're not being honest with yourself, you're playing yourself. You literally playing yourself. Hey, man. Hey. When I examine myself, I get on myself. Literally. Why? Because if I don't, a lot of stuff is going to slide. It's going to be a lot of excuses. But the more you hold yourself accountable and diligent, that's the more you're going to prosper as well. So you have to be honest with yourself. Let's go to the book, 1 Corinthians, chapter 16 and verse 15. Right? 1 Corinthians, right? Chapter 16 and verse number 15. 1 Corinthians 16 and 15, it reads, I beseech you, brethren, ye know the house of Stephanus, that is the first fruits of a kid, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. Are you addicted, man? If a day go by, you're not reading. You gotta be so addicted that you say, I have to read. So what if my family need me? So what if my kids need me? Your wife might need you. Your job. Are you gonna be addicted to the work and get that reading? Certain things you gotta put to the side, man. You have to be addicted. Hey, ask some of these crackheads or these ex-crackheads, man. They'll tell you, you know what? If I didn't get my so-called, my dope or my crack, I will freak out. Some of them they scratching their necks. They'll do anything to get that you know what. That's how you gotta be in the truth, man. If it's a day, if it's a day where I don't go to count, I'm mad. Regardless of the reason, I'm automatically mad. I'm itching. Man, I need to go teach. Man, I can't stop teaching, man. I might be in the house teaching, man. But if it's a day that I miss count, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go crazy. Why? Because you gotta addict yourself to the ministry of the saints. A lot of brothers, they not addicted. They just like, a brother said, a lot of brothers in here think this a motorcycle club. So what a lot of you men and women think, it's a motorcycle club. It's just a hang up. You just do this on your spare time. No, you have to be addicted. You have to yearn for it. You have to really want this thing. And it's going to, the real men and women that want this thing is going to show through their actions. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 43. All right. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 43. Sirach, chapter 43. And verse number 30. Sirach, chapter 43 and verse number 30. It reads, when you glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as you can. For even yet will he far exceed. Why do we study reading about doing things with your might? Exalting him as much as you can. Why? Because this is a commandment. Exalt the Lord as much as you can. It's going to tell you why. For even yet he will far exceed. Why? Because he's the Most High. He's the Ancient of Days. He's always going to excel. Don't matter how much you put your strength in, how much time and effort you put in, the Lord is going to still far exceed. For even yet will he far exceed. And when you exalt him, put forth all your strength. I'm going to read that again. Put forth all your strength. You got to put forth all your might, man. Your strength, your soul, your mind. It says, and be not weary, for you can never go far enough. What that's really saying, you can never serve the Lord enough. So it's always more work to do. Let's go to Luke, the 9th chapter. It's like Luke chapter 10. All right, let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 10, and verse number 2. Luke chapter 10 and 2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the labors are few. So the Lord said the harvest is great. It's so much work to do, man. It's so much work to put in. So much things to work on. Like I said, I don't know about brothers and sisters, but it's grind time. It's go mode. It's work. It's so much work to be put in, man. That's what the Lord said. But the laborers are few. Meaning it's not enough laborers. It's not enough men that want to labor, that want to get in there, put their brick in. It says, pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. That's what we got to pray for. But the point I wanted is the harvest is truly great. It's always room to improve. There's always more room to put forth your brick in, your effort, your strength, increase, grow. Let's go to Revelation, the 3rd chapter. All right. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3 and verse number 2. It says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. So every brother and sister, I don't care who you are, I don't care your social status in the truth. If you're a captain over 1,000 or an officer over 10,000, I don't care who you are. Every brother and sister have things that are literally have things that are ready to die. And the Lord says, strengthen them. Every brother and sister got something they could work on. Whether that's anger, malice, envy, not praying when you get up in the morning, not praying before you go to sleep, not being a brother, not watching, cursing, anger, if I didn't say that. Everybody got something they could work on. Everybody has flaws. Reading on. That are ready to die. And a lot of things could be ready to die. You're fasting. You might not fast as often. You might not read as often. You might not do the work. Everybody has something they could strength and put strength in. It says what? For I have not found thy works perfect before God. So your works are never found perfect before the Lord. Meaning you gotta always be on fire. So that's what it's going into, man. So Lord willing, this video was edifying, giving all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Kumarak Yahushua. And before I close out, I got a challenge that I put together through the Spirit for the brothers and sisters that's tuning in to the live. I created a challenge that you could do to increase through the Spirit. So the challenge is, now you could say, you know what, I accept the challenge. You know, I'm going to do it. Or, you know, you could say, you know what, I don't really want to do it. It's up to you. But the challenge is read 7 chapters a day for 1 week. That's the first challenge you got to do. You got to read 7 chapters a day for 1 week straight. Right? Starting tomorrow for the challenge. The second one, you got to pray 7+ times a day. So you have to pray at least 7 times. At least. And the third one is you have to fast 2 times in 1 week. You have to fast 2 times in 1 week. So that's the challenge, man. Now you could, hey, somebody said they accepted. All praise to the Most High. Now you could say, you know, you could put on the comment board, you know, I accept, or you could put I decline. It's up to you. But this for the real women and men of the Lord that want to grow. So the challenge is, I'm going to repeat it. You have to read 7 chapters a day for 1 week. You have to pray 7 times a day for 1 week. And you have to fast 2 times in 1 week. That's the challenge. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.